Professor Jonathan Haidt, not a logic processor. Story emerges from human minds as naturally as breath emerges from between human lips. You don't have to be a genius to master it. You're already doing it. Becoming better at telling stories is simply a matter of peering inwards, at the mind itself, and asking how it does it. This book has an unusual genesis in that it's based on a storytelling course that is, in turn, based on research I've carried out for various books. My interest in the science of storytelling began about a decade ago when I was working on my second book, The Unpersuadables, which was an investigation into the psychology of belief. I wanted to find out how intelligent people end up believing crazy things. The answer I found was that if we're psychologically healthy, our brain makes us feel as if we're the moral heroes at the center of the unfolding plots of our lives. Any facts it comes across tend to be subordinate to that story. If these facts flatter our heroic sense of ourselves, we're likely to credulously accept them, no matter how smart we think we are. If they don't, our minds will tend to find some crafty way of rejecting them. The Unpersuadables was my introduction to the idea of the brain as a storyteller. It not only changed the way I saw myself, it changed the way I saw the world. It also changed the way I thought about my writing. As I was researching The Unpersuadables, I also happened to be working on my first novel. Having struggled with fiction for years, I'd finally buckled and bought a selection of traditional how-to guides. Reading through them, I noticed something odd. Some of the things the story theorists were saying about narrative were strikingly similar to what the psychologists and neuroscientists I'd been interviewing had been telling me about brain and mind. The storytellers and the scientists had started off in completely different places and had ended up discovering the same things. As I continued my research for subsequent books, I continued making these connections. I started to wonder if it might be possible to join the two fields up and thereby improve my own storytelling. That ultimately led to my starting a science-based course for writers, which turned out to be unexpectedly successful. Being faced regularly with roomfuls of extremely smart authors, journalists, and screenwriters pushed me to deepen my investigations. Soon, I realized I had about enough stuff to fill a short book. My hope is that what follows will be of interest to anyone curious about the science of the human condition, even if they have little practical interest in storytelling. But it's also for the storytellers. The challenge any of us faces is that of grabbing and keeping the attention of other people's brains. I'm convinced we can all become better at what we do by finding out a bit about how they work. This is an approach that stands in contrast to more traditional attempts at decoding story. These typically involve scholars comparing successful stories or traditional myths from around the world and working out what they have in common. From such techniques come predefined plots that put narrative events in a sequence, like a recipe. The most influential of these is undoubtedly Joseph Campbell's monomyth, which, in its full form, has 17 parts that track the phases of a hero's journey from their initial call to adventure onwards. Such plot structures have been hugely successful. They've drawn crowds of millions and dollars by the billion. They've led to an industrial revolution in yarn spinning that's especially evident in cinema and long-form television. Some examples, such as the Campbell-inspired Star Wars: A New Hope, are wonderful. But too many more are Mars bar stories, cold, corporate, and seemingly cooked up by committee. For me, the problem with the traditional approach is that it's led to a preoccupation with these structural recipes. It's easy to see why this has happened. Often, the search has been for the one true story, the ultimate perfect plot structure by which every tale can be judged. And how are you going to describe that, if not by dissecting it into its various movements? A journey into the science of storytelling reveals the truth of such recipes. Most turn out to be just variations on the standard 5-act plot, which is successful not because of some secret cosmic truth or any universal law of storytelling, but because it's the neatest way of showing deep character change. It's simple, efficient, and relentless, perfectly tooled to capture the attention of masses of brains. I suspect it's this belief in plot as a magic formula that's responsible for the clinical feel from which modern stories sometimes suffer. But a plot can never work in isolation. This is why I believe the focus on plot.
To keep listening to this audiobook for free, click the link in the description. It will take you to a free Audible trial where you can listen to this and many other books for free for 30 days.